Good morning. The March 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order, and we are pleased to have with us this morning Pastor Madeline Hubbard from Bethel UMC, Tallapoosa, and Crawford Chapel UMC with us this morning to lead us in our invocation. And after the invocation, please remain standing for our pledge to the flag.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come, first of all, giving you thanks for this day that we've never seen before. I ask now that you will be with our Board of Commissioners as they make decisions that will affect the county of Douglas. And Lord God, I just ask that you will be with each one of us. Help us to be on one accord in unity with each other and keep us all safe. Lord, I ask that you will touch and heal those who are here that need a healing. This prayer I ask in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Hubbard, thank you so much for being here with us this morning, leading us in our invocation. We really appreciate you and all the great things you're doing here in Douglas County. Good morning to the citizens of Douglas County. We value your voice and we appreciate your participation in county government. Clerk, I believe you've provided me the list already of those citizens who signed up. We have two citizens this morning. Mr. Larry Pierce is our first citizen. And Mr. Pierce, if you please come forward and just please keep in mind that civility is important, and then also you will be allotted to speak 3 minutes, but it must be germane to the agenda on this particular
meeting.
I like that word. Yes, sir. Yeah. So with that being said, if you could just, and I won't ask you to state your address as you so corrected me yesterday, if you could just tell me your name once again and your subject matter, sir.
Larry Pierce, Douglasville, Georgia. First thing I'd like to say is I think it is germane because I wasn't going to come. The line outside today was about 25 deep out the steps. So I don't know how you're going to work it when there's jury day and people day because the security been moved up. Just a thought. What caught my eye here and yesterday is sometimes when you see something and it's not explained because maybe the answers aren't there yet, is the number 15. Now this bus program was started, and everybody knows the way it started in Cobb County, and now they got buses going everywhere, big buses. Half of them parked in the parking lot in Cobb County. They're competing with Greyhound lines. So when you see this authorization to submit for a grant, I just found out that the grant from the state or regional commission is about $180,000, and we're going to pay about $72,000. Well, that wasn't really said yesterday, but I coughed it up. So the thing about it is that now we're going to talk about senior adults and individuals with disabilities. Well, it just happened, a little bird came by me and said, the man who believes in the bus system the most, Mr. Kelly Robinson, lives right on the system of the bus, but he's taken Uber. Maybe he'll consider saving the county some money and ride the bus that he believes in.
Mr. Pierce,
Yes,
no
ma'am.
personal attacks with our Board
Pardon?
of Commissioners. If you could just please refrain from just mentioning the Board of Commissioners. Just this is something I just want you to talk about your transportation program, tab number 15. Keep going. Thank you.
Well, ma'am, an advocate for something
I understand,
has
sir.
to represent and also has to be able to take the arrows that are shot at him as well as shielding what he doesn't want to know. So I'm who I am, and I try to be delicate, but at times you just got to do what you got to do.
I understand.
Is my 3 minutes up?
It's getting close. Lisa, where
We're
are
getting
we?
close?
How
Okay.
far are we?
All right.
30 seconds, Mr. Pierce.
I tell you what, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming in today, Mr. Pierce. Next, we have Ms. Sharon Bockel. Ms. Bockel, would you please come forward? Your subject matter is buses, hoping it's germane to the agenda. You have any particular tab that you're looking at?
No, well, the same as,
Same one, 15? Yes, ma'am.
it's on the buses.
Yes, ma'am.
If anyone asks why our, first of all, Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive. If anyone asks why our country is over $23 trillion in debt, I point right here to this commission. Grants are tax dollars. It is up to you to spend our tax dollars wisely, whether federal, state, or local. The fixed route system costs $2 million a year to run. According to a January bus presentation, there was an average ridership of 101. You are spending over $30 per ride. This is just as expensive as calling a taxi. We could call Uber for $15 and save $1 million. A $1.6 million grant means our county has to have matching funds of $400,000. Our $400,000 that could be used to fund mental health programs, fix up our roads and parks, or even buy an election building so we don't have to spend over $20,000 a year renting a building. An example of a big waste with this fixed route program is Route 30. Its average ridership is 5. That is up from 3 rides because of free rides in December. This route uses 2 buses to travel 14 miles round trip 20 times a day, mostly empty. That's 280 miles of wasting gas and causing pollution. I assume Collaborative Firm, which gets $100,000 of our tax dollars, has canvassed the neighborhoods and informed them of this bus route, and still there is no ridership. Our transportation department's solution to increase ridership on this route is to offer rides for hotel travelers on Thornton Road. They are more concerned about transportation for travelers than the citizens of this county. Route 40 goes right by those hotels too. Where is the transportation for Districts 3 and 4? Mr. Watson has said Flex Rides is popular. This is similar to Dial-A-Ride. Why doesn't the Transportation Department offer the 2 buses from Route 30 for a Dial-A-Ride system? This could accommodate the 3 riders currently using Route 30 and save a lot of wasted mileage with empty buses. The Dial-A-Ride vans could be used to provide transportation for citizens who need rides in District 3 and 4. Dial-A-Ride would be a lot more cost-effective program and would accommodate the whole county. I say vote no on a grant that does not service the whole county. Vote no to a fixed route service that is a waste of tax dollars.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bockel, for coming in and expressing your opinion this morning. All right, Board of Commission. You want point of order? Okay.
Yeah, just,
Commissioner Robinson.
thank you. Public comment, and I think this is important. When you talk about order, when Madam Chair makes it explicit about the atmosphere she's trying to create, and I appreciate District 2. They're going to be vocal, and it goes both ways. Whether elected or neighbor, some of the commentary is, it's not necessary. Right? It's not necessary. You have options, mobility options, whether you car, bus, pick a ride. It's options. But it's so personal in the commentary. I've watched for 12 years. You didn't do that during the Worthen administration. Yes, they came correct. Yes, they marched on Foxhall. Yes, wrapped around them. Yes, it was over the top. But it was never personal. This is personal. That's just my problem. And I appreciate it. Everybody's going to do them. I'm out of District 2. It goes both ways. No neighbor should have to accept, no neighbor should have to accept that type. Argue the point, argue the process, argue the proposition, argue the program. But when you have to go for a personal attack, it's like, okay, have we, to the other citizens' point, have we fallen to that point that we can't argue anymore, that we have to get to a point of name calling and doing different things? It's not necessary. Really, come on, I'm a neighbor. Like, we're not from a foreign country. I'm a neighbor, 30 years strong in this county, my entire adult life, right? I'm a neighbor. I'm just down here representing the interests. It's good. I appreciate her comments that, hey, there's alternative. I'm listening. But the personal attacks, it's not necessary. I'm your neighbor, right? I'm the neighbor. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. Okay, we're going to move on, Board of Commissioners, to our approval of the minutes. Board of Commissioners, you have the commission meeting minutes of February 18th, 2020, and the work session meetings of February 17th, 2020, and the executive session minutes of February 17th, 2020. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions that need to be made?
No, ma'am.
Being none, the minutes stand approved as presented. All right, Board of Commissioners, we have a proclamation, which is tab number 4. Proclamations, tab number 4 is proclaiming the week of March 9th through 13th, 2020 as Domestic Minor Sex Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Week in Douglas County. And that proclamation will be read by Jessica Frazier this morning from SS Life Center. If you could please come forward.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay.
Domestic Minor Sex Trafficking Awareness Week. Whereas human trafficking is a nationwide public health and civil rights crisis, its victims and survivors are everywhere, with Douglas County being no exception. And whereas domestic minor sex trafficking includes both labor and sex trafficking with both international and domestic victims, and anyone can be a victim of sex trafficking. While women and girls are primarily victims and survivors come from every background, race, gender, sexual orientation, and economic status. Traffickers target minors who, for any reason, are vulnerable. And young people are particularly vulnerable to trafficking and exploitation but face many barriers in reporting what has happened to them. The state of Georgia Safe Harbor Law recognizes that any youth under the age of 25 who comes forward would no longer face criminal charges, prosecution, and will instead receive comprehensive and trauma-informed services. The Safe Harbor Law also seeks to provide communities across Georgia with the knowledge and skills and resources to effectively identify and work with sexually exploited and at-risk youth. And all communities must seek to prevent domestic minor sex trafficking before it can occur by promoting safe, healthy, and supportive environments. And whereas Douglas County is striving to become a place where domestic minor sex trafficking does not exist, where our youth have opportunities available to them, and where all people are treated as fully human and worthy of a supportive community and freedom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners declares that March 9th through 13th as Domestic Minor Sex Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Week. So proclaimed on the 3rd day of March 2020. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Frazier. We appreciate you coming in and taking the time to read this proclamation and promoting a safe environment so sex trafficking does not exist here in Douglas County, particularly for our minors. We really appreciate you taking that by the helm and leading that effort here in Douglas County. And thank you for all the great things that you're doing, because this is a touchy subject, and it's something that we don't want to just hide under the covers. This is something that needs to be disclosed or publicized so everybody, and so we can heighten the awareness about sex trafficking in the United States and Douglas County as well. Board of Commissioners, you have heard the proclamation. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion
you.
and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by casting, okay. We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. Thank you so much. Ms. Frazier, do you mind coming up, taking a photograph with us?
No, ma'am, I don't
Okay,
mind.
please. Yes, if we can come down.
right, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And one more. Great.
Awesome, thank you.
Ms. Frazier, thank you so much again for coming in and certainly sharing with us this morning about the importance of domestic minor sex trafficking awareness here in Douglas County and other places in Georgia as well. Thank you. Okay, Board of Commissioners, we're going to move on to tab number 5. Tab number 5 is public hearing on the fiscal year 2020 congestion mitigation and air quality federal grant application for Connect Douglas fixed route bus service and approval of a resolution to file the application. We have our own Director Watson here this morning with Connect Douglas. Director Watson, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
We're making preparations for our second 12-month period of operating our fixed route and paratransit bus service. Contractually with our third-party provider, this second 12 months will begin around May the 7th. What we're applying for is $1.6 million in congestion mitigation and air quality money that will be flexed from the Federal Highway Administration to the Federal Transit Administration, which is our main funding source. This will require a $400,000 local match from Douglas County. And that's our ask today. That's what we're requesting that the commissioners consider is approving the application for this second 12-month period of funding.
Okay, thank you. Board of Commissioners, any questions before I open up this public hearing? Commissioner Guider?
Gary, this was done as a $6 million thing with the state of Georgia to begin with. Why do we have to come back every year for 3 years for that year's portion?
It did start out as a $6 million grant, but as ARC worked with the Federal Highway Administration, they learned that there wasn't enough CMAQ money to cover all $6 million at one time. So basically what we're having to do is apply for it in 3 different years.
Okay, but it was agreed upon 2 years ago or so?
Yes, ma'am. The money's programmed. We're just having to apply for it more than one time.
And this is just the second portion
Correct.
of that $6 million? All right,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. I stand to be corrected. I should have opened up the public hearing first. This public hearing is now open for anyone who want to speak for this news on behalf of the CMAQ grant renewal. Do we have anyone here? Anyone here that want to speak against the CMAQ grant renewal? You have 2 minutes to speak. Being none, this public hearing is now closed. Okay, at this point, Board of Commissioners, do you have any other comments? I'm
Yes.
so sorry. Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And again, we're going to keep this progressing, keep moving. And I appreciate the comments earlier and the input from the citizens regarding options and trade-off for spending. If I counter the $120 million that we spent on the jail, right, and we know that it basically can hold 1,750 people. Basically, we've got about, 700 people in there on any given day over day. That means that we overspent by 60%. In other words, you could have built that jail for $60 million versus $120 million. That $60 million could have been, 30 years for this $2 million bus system. You have excess capacity. And I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate math problems right in the moment. Didn't take a script, didn't take homework. And so the citizens, what's important is that, guys, there's other needs here. The attack on any one citizen, whether you're handicapped, whether you have whether you're a woman, whatever one may be, it's one Douglas. and everybody get their needs met on any given day. One decision may not reflect or impact one group versus another, but everybody gets their tax dollars yielded back to them. One group does not dictate to another group. From District 2, I have to represent the fullness. Every decision is made, every decision. Somebody wanted a yes, somebody wanted a no. That's important. As relates to this CMAQ, this is important. There's a population, and as we know, there's mobility options. And it's important that we must give options to our citizens. And we got something else on the agenda a little bit later. But again, since this is a hearing, we must hear. It's important, right? We've got all types of van pools. They talk about the flex system associated with the fixed route. We've got the voucher program. We've got all types of options. I can use any one of them at this point in my life. And our citizens should have options. Just because one citizen put in $10 and the next citizen put in $1, the person that put $10 in does not pull rank on that $1. That citizen that put $1 in should get their yield on it, right? And again, so it's one of those, but what about us, as one citizen said to me? All the money is being concentrated over in those interests. What about these interests? So this was an option, just one additional option that we expanded. Now, as it relates to the spend, I don't disagree with the need to leverage our dollars. I've always been an advocate that says, okay, guys, you can fund that original bus system for pure cash off the digest. $1 million for 2 routes was the original proposal. We went to Cherokee. We benchmarked the CAT system. $1 million for 2 routes. Like, no, guys, leverage your tax dollars. Bring home your federal dollars. That's what we should do. Bring home your dollars. Just like for District, I bring dollars home for District 2. You should do that, right? So here we are, you have options, right? And so I don't disagree, but like with anything, these federal dollars were tied to a need. Look at the map. I appreciate the fullness of the county. This is a hearing. We need to talk about this because this is the money. Every year, we have to apply for this grant. It's okay, it's the process. Can't run from that. As Commissioner Mitchell would say, it's a process. We can't get into that. But going through this process, think about it for just one moment. It's like, okay, I got to go through this process. I get to leverage my tax dollars. It's a brand new pilot program. People have to get used to things. It takes time. Any product introduction into the marketplace, it takes time. But without District 1, and I'll say this for the record, we mentioned this in the work session, and without District 2, there wouldn't have been as great of a need. The federal dollars is tied to the need. I'm not going to get technical, but the need was based in that area, right? And so the federal dollars supported that area. So that needs to be saturated. We need to fulfill that before it gets expanded. Now, I do want to speak from a hearing perspective, and as Chair of Transportation Committee. I'm all for considering additional places. But this is important when we talk about the maturity of a board. When you have extreme decision-making and it's such an absolute no's, you give no room for consensus. You give no room for negotiation. You have to mature to a point where, okay, if you're going to just take an absolute we don't want, we don't need, and the decision is made, and then it's after the fact, you're like, well, what about us? Like, no, you made your choice. Now, I think it's like, to Madam Chair's point, well, okay, maybe we could revisit it. Well, we have to catch it the next cycle. But to try to suggest that there was not acknowledgement of other parts of the county, that's misinformation. That's disingenuous. That is not what our intent was. And that's important, sister. I appreciate the narratives, because there always has to be a counter narrative. Make sure the public sees both sides of the argument and says, wait a minute now, that's not true. Everybody had a chance to weigh in on that. But to suggest that there was any type of negligence for the West, no, a position was taken, right? So now I think next time we come around, it's like, okay, we'll bring it back up. We'll see run the numbers, do the market study, feasibility study, whatever you may want to do. But I think from a hearing perspective, we need to have, again, we can untie things or we can cut them. Right? Now take your choice. If you really want to get to someone, if you really want them to hear you, it's your tone. It's not that you can't hear. You know, you pull a knife to try to make, or pull a gun on somebody to try to make them like, okay, that's not going to go very far, but I still hear you. We're neighbors, right? The rhetoric is such that, come on, guys, let's do better. It doesn't, I mean, very intelligent. You guys are all intelligent. We can hear different dialects and stuff, but the conversation is fine. But I think all needs, and I think that citizens who may have a need should not feel invalidated or marginalized because they have a need. That's important. I represent the interests of a lot of different people, right? And so I get it. And so this is for those people who have a real need for transportation, who may have it's easy for you to have and talk about those who don't have. That's convenient. I'm here to represent those people that don't have a voice. Like, no, I got this. Right? The people who may be disabled. Right? That person that may be a senior. That person that may need a little help. They just need a little nudge. Like, okay, just make sure I don't walk into a flagpole. Just help me get off the curb. I just need a little nudge. But for the most part, I'm 100. That's important. And so again, we talk about, I appreciate the prayer by Pastor Hubbard. It's like, come on, are we being disingenuous in our prayers? I mean, we talk about, we believe in God. I was listening to it's like, come on, guys, we can do better than this. Now, let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about it. Thank you to the second citizen who spoke. I appreciate the numbers. Appreciate you. Thank you. But for the rest of it, please, let's just do better. Again, this is a hearing, and so we have to listen to the citizens came, but also we get to weigh in on this one. And I think it's important that, yeah, guys, you have options. You get to choose which option you want. I mean, I was just pulling out my card from my bus. It's like, I use it when I want to. It's called options, but you don't get to dictate what your neighbor gets to do. That's about control. No, the neighbors are free to move how they want to. It's their choices. That's important. I yield the floor, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. Commissioner Guider?
Yes, I just want to clarify a few things about the western side of the county. You can look at the minutes, and I was always for a flex route from the very beginning. I voted for the 2-route, flex route. But we later, Commissioner Mulcair and I had a town hall here. It was on a very stormy night, and we answered all the questions that the public had about the bus system, but we were also pushing the dollar ride because we had just discovered exactly how it worked, and it was working well over in another county. And so we were never against just the bus routes. If you can check the minutes. They will clarify that point very clearly. But there was never a definite no from me or Commissioner Mulcair. So just to clarify. And with that, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. All right, with that being said, Board of Commissioners, we're going to move on, and I'm going to call for a motion on this public hearing. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to move forward with the approving the FY 2020 Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Federal Grant application for the Connect Douglas Fixed Route Bus Service?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion. Okay, good. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Prepare to cast your votes. Our systems are back, are working again.
Doing hand?
No, no, our systems.
Do hand.
Just bear with us just a few minutes. We have a little technical difficulty going on. Okay.
Yep. Got it. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yep.
Lisa, mine didn't come up. Mine didn't come up at all. Okay. Unfortunately, my system didn't come up either, so Commissioner Mitchell, I'm just going to go with a hand voting. Okay,
All right.
we're having problems, okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote to approve this application for the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant. Thank you so much, Director Watson, for coming in today. All right, Board of Commissioners, we have new business item tab number 6, appointment of Jamil Foster, Scott Gladstone, and Susan Henderson to the Douglas County Travel and Tourism Board effective immediately. Do we have a motion to approve, Board of Commissioners?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, just one, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell.
Yes, so that we're clear, I think we ended up yesterday with having each commissioner and Madam Chair pick an individual. Can we make sure that associate each name, whomever that is, so when we come back around for this
Right here.
type of vote down the road, that even though they're not in the district, but they will be associated with that individual. So if he or she gets off the board or for whatever reason, then we'll know who needs to kind of reappoint that person. Yes, I'll have that. Okay, okay. All righty, outside of that, I'll yield the floor.
Okay, well, we have
Thank you.
See, hers is not-
any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand. That's all I can do today. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. We are having a little technical difficulty and we'll just keep moving forward. That was the purpose of manual from the beginning of life. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Tab number 7 is authorization to rescind the contract. And please remember with this consent agenda, all items are subject to final legal review. Let me start with tab number 7. Tab number 7, authorization to rescind the contract with Johnson Law Firm approved December 17th, 2019, and authorize the chairman to execute a new contract with Bonnie Binkley. Tab number 8, authorization for the chairman to execute an employment contract with Ray Williams as assistant public defender in state court. Tab number 9, authorization for the chairman to execute revised employment contracts with Aaron Lannon, Kristen Bonet, and Craig Koloski in Superior Court, and Angela Contreras in the State Court as assistant public defenders. Tab number 10, authorization for the District Attorney's Office to accept a Violence Against Women Act, which is VAWA, continuation grant from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, CJCC, in the amount of $50,000 and a match of $16,667, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 11, authorization for the Solicitor's Office to accept the continuation of the 2020 Violence Against Women Act grant through the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council in the amount of $71,801 with a match of $17,950, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 12, authorization to accept the Emergency Management Performance Grant from GEMA in the amount of $39,721 in federal funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents and amend the budget. Tab number 13, authorization to accept the ACCG Group Health Benefits Program Health Promotion Grant in the amount of $3,000, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents and amend the budget. Tab number 14, authorization to accept a donation from Douglas County Humane Society in the amount of $40,000 on behalf of Win 3 Charitable Fund in memory of Mary Peace Wynn and Frank M. Wynn and Judge Dan P. Wynn to be used for the purchase of an X-ray machine for animal services and amend the animal services budget. Tab number 15, authorization to submit a grant application with the Atlanta Regional Commission for FY 2021 funds for the Transportation Voucher Program for senior adults and individuals with disabilities, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 16, authorization to approve change order number 8 with Motorola Solutions for the Public Safety P-25 radio system, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Tab number 17, authorization for the lease purchase of a Dell Ray VX Rail virtualization and storage device in the amount of $56,919.99. annually for 3 years to be funded from the fund balance as recommended by the Technology Committee. Authorize chairman to sign all related documents and amend the budget. Tab number 18, authorization to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Douglas County Community Services Board for Mental Health Services and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Authorization to award contract to Munich Project Solution, MPS Grants Incorporation, for grant writing and administration services for FY 2020 Community Development Block Grant CDBG for senior services not to exceed $12,000 to be funded from the contingency funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. That wraps up our consent agenda. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any particular topic? Commissioner Robinson?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief for my colleagues. I've got two. I want to talk about number 15, the voucher program for seniors, and I'm going to talk about mental health right after that in that short order. Anybody here for seniors?
Is anyone here from Senior Services today? Yes. Dr. Gilchrist?
Dr. Gilchrist, come on down.
Yes, could you come on down, please?
Come on down.
Here, guys. Okay. Just have a few questions for you. This is not atypical. This is normal. She's smiling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
State your name, doctor, and your...
Dr. Consuelo Gilchrist.
All right. Is this your first time having to come down?
Absolutely, it is.
All right, here we go. So, all right, very good.
That's okay.
Really, then I'll back up just a little bit, Madam Chair, give me a room. Can you just explain what this is and for the public and really what the services that we provide, more for an educational moment? Just give it a free PSA, and then I'll ask my questions afterwards.
So in terms of the transportation vouchers, that's,
No, you're a senior. I think you want senior? Is that what-
Senior,
The senior
Okay.
citizen services.
senior,
Just the services.
start with senior services.
okay.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about the program itself.
Okay.
For transportation.
So essentially, senior services from our location on Fairburn Road, 6287 Fairburn Road, we provide congregate meals there every day. So seniors 60 and older, they're able to come to that location and receive a hot meal every day. We also have various activities for them, which may include yoga, line dancing. We do various field trips where some of the trips are local. They also go out of town to various activities. Our staff at that location transport the seniors. Out of that location, we also provide Meals on Wheels. We prepare hot meals that are sent out to seniors in Douglas County 5 days a week.
All right, so that's the location on Fairburn Road?
Yes, sir.
Correct. All right, and so it's my understanding, and again, this is all related to seniors. So we provide these services, free meals, we give them programming. What's the difference between this location and the Woody Fight and the soon-to-be location, where is it at, Commissioner?
Lithia Springs.
I know it's in Lithia Springs, but what
Okay.
street is it on?
I don't have the actual address, but near the fire station, but.
Yes, fire station, all right, go ahead.
So the difference in those two locations from the one on Fairburn Road, essentially the new one that's proposed in Lithia Springs and the Woody Fight Center will be activity centers. At the activity centers, seniors 55, the age range start at 55 at those locations. So 55 and older, they're able to go there and participate in activities. The main difference is that they do not receive a hot meal. Meals are not prepared there, and they must provide their own transportation. The location on Fairburn Road, we have staff that will go out into the community, pick up seniors who are interested in programming, and bring them to the Fairburn Road location.
So this was important, so one's a little bit more independent, meaning the senior's a little bit more independent that can come directly to the facility at the Woody Fight. Is that what I'm hearing? They're more independent.
I would say
I'm trying to get a feel, because it gets into demographics. I know
Right.
this is your back.
We-
Help us understand.
The one on Fairburn Road, we have seniors that drive themselves in too, so it's just a matter of preference for the seniors. So some prefer to go to Woody Fight for the activities, and then we have those that prefer to come to the one on Fairburn Road because there's a hot meal there. And also, we do medical transportation out of the one that's on Fairburn Road. And so we will help them schedule their medical appointments and transport to their medical appointments. But the location on Fairburn Road, we do have seniors that are very independent. They drive, they transport themselves in.
Okay. All right, now let's bring it, that was good enough, and my colleagues may have other questions regarding, Gary Watson, I want to talk about the senior voucher related.
Okay. Director Watson?
Director, stay here, Dr. Gilchrist.
Okay.
Director Watson, health, all right, so she talked about transportation, so help fill in the gap for us by way of what we're doing here and how it supports senior services.
Well, first of all, we work closely with the Senior Citizens Program on their transportation needs. In fact, down through the years, through our Rideshare Connect Douglas program, we purchased 4 20-passenger buses for them and also 2 wheelchair lift vans for them. But even with those vehicles, they're limited in the number of people that they can serve. And so with our voucher program and even the flex service on the buses, we try to fill in some of those gaps that they can't accommodate.
Got it. So when you say filling those gaps, is it more the distance or just the frequency, or is it like low capacity, meaning we just can't get to all of them?
Well, with distance, that's an issue for us because the parameters on our fixed route bus service and flex and paratransit, we're limited on that. So we try to concentrate on the areas that are more dense. And their service is able to reach out to the individuals who live more out in the country,
All right.
so to speak.
Now, rural parts, that's okay. So last part of this, then, what is the volume of people that come through our senior services building? I mean, what's the programming there? What's the number of Woody Fight? And I'm putting this in context of the voucher for transportation. Can somebody answer that question? Dr. Gill, or either one. Like, what's our, just roughly, we're not, this is, it's not a test.
Roughly, on a daily basis at the senior center on Fairburn Road, we serve about 70 to 80 individuals a day. I don't have the numbers for Woody Fight.
That's fine. And all right, so that's fine. All right, so Director Watson, on this one, for transportation, how many people have we served in our current voucher program, seniors?
Well, we have 120 seniors and disabled who are on the active list who can actually participate in the program right now, and we have 85 on a waiting list. Now, the individuals who are active in the program, the seniors and the individuals with disabilities, they use a voucher transportation services for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
It may be to go to the senior center. It may be to go to the hospital to a doctor's appointment, to the mall to see a movie. We don't put any type of limits on the types of trips they can make. What we're trying to do with them is just improve their mobility opportunities where they're not prisoners in their own homes.
And thank you for that. I could have paid you for that right there, because that was my point. It's nothing like, let me give you a perspective that being 4 walls in the ceiling, not being able to move, or being limited in how you move, right? It's a certain level of dignity, and I need my citizens that may be in that place that, no, I hear you, I understand. I know what it means just to get out of the house, like, man, I got to get out the house. I get it. You don't want your mobility to be handled. You don't want to be told when to move, how you move, what to think. That's like, no, you want to be free. And here we talk about our seniors. And probably mostly I know the seniors are living longer. I know that they, for the most part, especially probably more females than males. Sorry, fellas, the females are going to live longer. It's okay. We're good. But to that point, here we are. They done paid into the system. And this is my one point, like, And how long have we been talking about this list, Director Watson? And you can date this because I've been here as long as you. How long have we been talking about knocking down this list?
Well, we started the voucher program in 2013, and then as far as knocking down the waiting list, at least 3 to 4 years, we've been talking about that.
Since 2013? What was your date you said?
We started the program in
In thir-
2013. As far as the waiting list goes, we've been talking about trying to knock it down for at least 3 or 4 years.
I know we talked at least 2 years prior to Madam Chair getting here, so we've been talking about that for about a while. About, let me give it 5 years. So in that context, 5 years. And how long is the average waiting list? Give or take.
It stays around 85.
85 waiting list. How long do I have to wait as an individual? And what is the condition in which I now get on the list?
Well, of course, anybody who would come in and register the program now is going to be put on a waiting list. We have very little turnover in the voucher program. Once a person is assigned to the active list, they stay on that list till they go to a greater reward.
Okay, all right, so listen to the point. That was very eloquent. But listen to this point now, yield on this point. It's like, no, but to that point, here we are. These are the most precious assets. They've paid into the system. And we have these conversations like it's a rounding error about should we take them off the list. If it's almost, 150,000 citizens, and I'm just going to give you a number, 150 people, this total program. It's less than 0.01%. But we'll rationalize $100 million to keep people captive. We'll spend $5 million on 80 cats and dogs. But then we look at our seniors and we have a debate on whether or not we help them move around. And I look at, do we really care, or we just use that as an emotional moment? There's nothing for us, and I made this comment yesterday, and I'll close this part. I made that it's important that we get rid of this list. Quit treating our seniors as a consideration, a political consideration. Because I've seen both boards move in such a way, when you want something and do something, you can, right? Without yielding, without a debate. I'm like, these are our seniors, and these are the most vulnerable. And we're saying, well, maybe we can get around it, maybe we can find money, maybe federal government. It's like, really, guys? And they debate on whether or not they're going to move me or I'm going to go on to glory. Are they going to help move me or go on to glory? Look at the argument that's being put here that's not been said for 4 or 5 years. And I have a problem with that. But again, for this particular vote, I mean, I'm good with the consent agenda. This is just this item, and I'm just saying for my consideration, I'd like the Board of Commissioners in the future to consider getting rid of this list, period. Thank you and good night. Gary, what would it take to do this list? Just
A ballpark estimate right now is $75,000 to $100,000.
$75,000, $100,000. We knocked that out in executive session for director pay compensation. Like, stop. So we can do 1 or 2 people, it's the equivalent of a whole list of seniors. Oh boy. This is my point. We get convenient, we make decisions how we want to. I need the seniors to hear this. Do we really care about you? It's the level, like when it comes down to this, I have no problem with parties. I have no problem with the celebrations. But I'm like, are we willing to make a real commitment over time? Yes, it's going to be a commitment every year, but they're worth it. They're our seniors. And for that, Madam Chair, I'm going to yield that. Mental health, you guys know I support that, so I'm going to let that go, Madam Chair. I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. Any other comment? All right, well, thank you all so much.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Yes,
didn't
I'm
see you,
sorry.
Commissioner Mitchell.
And I'll be brief, though, but my question to Ms. Dr. Gilchrist.
Yes, sir.
So what involvement, if any, but I'm hoping to hear the answer of that you are involved with all the other centers to include the new one that we got forthcoming, the Senior Citizen Center. Aren't you overseeing all, and I apologize, I missed yesterday, I stepped out for a hot minute, but I'm not sure whether or not this was brought, but don't you oversee all of them, or am I got the misconception that you are or you're not?
I am, and I guess recently that
Okay.
was added to my list of duties and responsibilities, the oversight of
Okay.
the Woody Fight and the new senior center. So moving forward, that my involvement will be the same as it is for the center on Fairburn Road.
Got it. So if I'm hearing you correctly, then this is just recently transpired versus, from my understanding, that you were hired to do the center, the senior citizen center throughout? Or am I, do I have the misconception of that being incorrect?
No, that's correct.
That is correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, good. And I'll make sure we have some more dialogue because the Q&A seems to be a little interesting, I guess I'll say the least. So with that being stated, I guess my other question may be a little tough to ask because I was going to ask kind of what is your plan? Do you see any visions as to what the one in Lithia Springs, Woody Fight, and others kind of what's your plan? I guess that's being discussed with you and Mark, I guess.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's being discussed.
Okay, because I would like to kind of know that too, though. So, okay, well, I'm going to leave my Q&A alone because it seemed like that may be a little much, a bit much. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to add, for the 2021 budget with ARC, I have requested funding for group transportation for the seniors, and I'm waiting to get approval from ARC for that. So we're diligently working on providing more transportation for the seniors in Douglas County.
For the centers,
Right.
for all the seniors.
Well, the one on Fairburn Road is the only one that receives funding from ARC
understand.
at this time. And in the future, I'll look into what funding is available for the other two centers.
But what you're requesting now from ARC is strictly for the one on Fairburn Road.
It's for the one on Fairburn Road because that's because of the Meals on Wheels and the congregate feeding. ARC provides funding for that, so we're able to use that funding to service the Fairburn Road location.
Great, okay. All right, thank you very much.
Right,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it, and I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Commissioner Carthen.
I don't want to belabor this consent agenda, but what I do want us to recognize, and I just like for the constituents to hear this as well, is that if we have 85 on the waiting list, how many more could we accommodate on the waiting list? Because you think about if 85 seniors are waiting, there's probably a whole lot more. And I know when I deliver the meals on Fridays, I do have those, I deliver to about 11 or 12, 13 on my route, and I do have those who have asked, how can they, too, get emergency rides and come to the center as well? So I think, you know, we tend to see those who come here and talk about transportation or talk about what we do as Board of Commissioners and where we put money. But what we don't see is those who can't get here to speak for themselves. And so oftentimes we are in the community and we do understand those needs that aren't being addressed because they can't get here or they won't speak up for themselves or they don't know the process. So I just wanted to make sure that we speak about those individuals as well. And I know Dr. Gilchrist, you could probably really talk about that more in detail. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the things that since I've been in position, I make sure that everything that's happening with senior services, that we provide that information to those who are homebound and the medical clients. And so when we send the Meals on Wheels out, we will include a flyer so that they're very much aware of what's going on. And I've delivered meals as well as dressed down today because we're short-staffed, so I thought I would have to go deliver some meals this morning. But when I do go out, I try to talk to the consumers that we serve to find out what their needs are and what is it that we can do to help better serve them. So we are diligently working on that and making sure that they're not left out.
Thank you. And with that, Madam Chair, you.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Thank-
I do have one.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes, and my apologies. I just wanted to kind of, I'm done with you guys, though, but I just wanted to make sure I had one other item on the list that I wanted to go
Okay.
over. So, but thank you, guys. And I
Thank
want
you.
everybody-
Thank
I wanted
you.
to kind of have this get back up. So, but my last item, I'd like to kind of ask if Mr. Penniman would step to the table to the podium for item number 18. Just so the public will know kind of, just if you give us a small snapshot of kind of what that looks like and kind of what the $25,000 that you guys will be recognized with and, you know, moving forward with that. And then I got another question that will follow up with that, though, so.
Great. First off, my name is Brandon Penniman, address 1082 Abington Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And I'm here on behalf of agenda item 18, I believe.
Yes.
And that's in regards to a memorandum of understanding with the Community Service Board. And the basic premise of what we're going to be doing is a two-phase project. In the first phase, we're going to be looking to do assemblies at the local schools so that we can get students more connected to our LinkedIn resource guide. It's a resource guide that we have here in Douglas County where all of the resources for any type of mental health issues are in one central location or one central book. Our idea is to be able to allow the students to know that they have access to those resources, and then also try to find a way to make it more comparable for the students and make them more willing to use it. The way that we're planning to do that is by the creation of an application where we take the LinkedIn resource book that is paper form right now, and we turn it into an application that the students can pull it up on their cell phone and be more apt and willing to use it. And then the final phase of this project is that we would like to create an infomercial where we promote the new application and get people in the community to buy into the application. With the infomercial, we would like to show it at the local movie theaters throughout the summer so that we can not only touch the students in our community, but touch the community as a whole, touching every community member, including our seniors who may need these services as well.
Got it. And I guess the other part, my follow-up question, though, with the 25 that the county is more than willing to partake in this vision that you guys have, is that sufficient? I mean, I don't know if, because just from my calculation, that's a drop in the bucket from what you guys truly need to pull off what you guys are doing. So just help me with that and help the general public with that as well.
Absolutely. So in regards to the funding, $25,000 was the first portion of it, and that was simply so that we could show deliverables and show metrics on what we were able to do. But the entire project that we're trying to complete definitely will go beyond that $25,000 mark in the sense that it's going to cost a pretty good bit to be able to do the application to a level that we would like to do it. Also, we're going to be hosting focus groups. After we do the assemblies with the students, we'll be hosting focus groups where we bring the students in and we ask them exactly what they want to do or what they would like to see inside of the application. So it's going to take more funds than the $25,000, and what we have planned and what we've shown to the board is that within the two phases, we'll be able to come back and show deliverables from the first $25,000 and then hopefully be able to get more support with the other half of the funding.
And will you guys be looking at any other funding source, or what kind of that process or what that looks like down the road?
Absolutely, glad that you asked that. So in regards to additional funding sources, we will be reaching out to the Board of Education, the Douglas County Board of Education, seeing that we'll be doing assemblies in their schools. We're going to be reaching out to them to see if they can match this funding to be able to help out with this project. And we're also going to be reaching out to the city of Douglasville, the city council, because mental health is a inclusive issue that includes the entire county and the city. So we're going to be going to the city to ask for funding. We're going to also be going to the Board of Education to ask for funding. And we are excited to be able to have leverage when we go to them to say that the county is already on our side. The county has already approved this, and they're already working to help us to be able to do this.
Got it. And I'm assuming you'll be working closely with the CSB board and
yes, absolutely. So we'll be working with Mr. Lightford and the CSB board to be able to continue to do this and make sure that we stay in compliance. And he's also going to be a big factor in us being able to show you guys the metrics and the numbers on exactly who we're touching and how we're doing it.
Great. Good job. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And I yield back.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Thank you so much, Brandon. Appreciate you coming in. Commissioner Guider?
Yes, Brandon, if you'd come back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, $25,000, are you going to be able to do the infomercial with the $25,000?
No, ma'am, we won't be able to do it to completion with the 25,000.
You're just going to concentrate mainly on the focus groups and the app?
Right, and the school assemblies. Now, in regards to both of those, we will start light work on the infomercial in the sense of possibly recording the infomercial, paying to record it, but then we also have to consider the funds that it takes to actually put it in the movie theaters.
Would y'all be doing that yourselves? Or
As far as getting it into the movie theaters?
No.
Creating the video?
Producing it, would you?
Yes, ma'am. We will be producing the video. We'll be contracting a group called Theo Media Group to be able to do the recording. And then, of course, they'll also be doing the production side to create the actual video after we do the recording.
Have you thought of a podcast?
A podcast to do it more frequently as far as speaking on it?
Well, a podcast that people that are prone to thoughts of suicide or whatever, that they could listen to.
Well, I mean, all those considerations would be great. We would love to be able to do a podcast.
You do a podcast now, don't you?
Well, I do it personally for myself within the community. Yes, ma'am.
That's why I thought of the podcast.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I do it off my personal page, but as far as funding to be able to do it on a county-wide basis, that would be something that we would love to be able to do on a frequent basis, maybe even record it here at the county downstairs, if possible.
Well, I direct a Celebrate Recovery for the past 15 years at my church, and there are podcasts for Celebrate Recovery that I encourage people to listen to because sometimes they're just in a dark place.
Yes, ma'am.
And they just need to hear people talk out how they went through those dark places, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Might want to use something like that. And also, there is a gentleman here in Douglas County that teaches or instructs on suicide and the signs to look for and things like that. And you might want to get with him, so.
Yes, ma'am. We are definitely looking for more guest speakers to come out to the assemblies because as we roll out the program, our first step is to go to the schools and be able to incentivize the students to download the application. So we're definitely looking for more speakers to come out.
I think this gentleman used to teach with the law enforcement, things to look for or to parent groups so that he himself has lost a son to suicide, so.
Yes, ma'am, and this actually touches my heart closely because I lost one of my fellow friends my senior year of high school here at Douglas County to suicide, our senior year of high school, and that's what's really pushed me to be able or to want to come back to my community and push this effort for mental health awareness.
Yes, okay. I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Guider, and thank you so much, Brandon, for all the great things you're doing to just address suicide prevention here in the county, and particularly in the schools. That's so important, and I commend you as a young man doing this, to leading the charge for that, so thank you. And also, Board of Commissioners, I just want to make it known to the public, certainly we have kicked the can long enough on the senior voucher program. I didn't want to bring you all back up, Director Watson. I do have a meeting that I've set up with you and LaWanna Jones. I believe she leads that senior voucher program. So that meeting is being set up by Dion Penn. Me, who a lot of people are talking from the sidelines, but I'm on the front lines because I will be an official senior next Tuesday. I mean, I'm eligible for Social Security, so I understand what everybody's talking about. So I want to make sure that our seniors do have the absolute best. I know parties and celebrations are fun, but this administration will step up and make sure we address it. But I don't want to just look at today. We want to look at sustainability, and we want to look at future growth. As I said, we do have seniors the baby boomers, the largest generation of all times, we're coming. We're lining up. We're coming in. I'm crossing. I got a few more behind me. So with that being said, we'll sit down and we'll talk and come up with a plan. We'll present it to the Board of Commissioners, and we'll go from there. This is something that needs to be done for our seniors, okay? And it's not because I'm a senior, but it just needs to be done, okay? Thank you so much. Okay, Board of Commissioners, we have a motion. Okay, Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yeah, okay, the mental health, I got to acknowledge this, that Mental Illness Month is in May, and this is related to this. Obviously, we've been working on this. Again, I appreciate the full board and both administrations for supporting this $50,000 that were originally appropriated for mental health awareness. This goes along with our mental health course on the judicial side, where we put almost close to a little over, a quarter, maybe almost $300,000 in housing. So it's just not about awareness, it's also about housing, it's also about services. But real quick, I mean, I'm listening to the video, and I'm going to encourage you, Brandon, and again, well done. You stepped up. Again, we got people in the community that are creating organizations that's helping deliver services, and we appreciate that. I know Director Tiffany Stewart-Stanley is also working on a video on behalf of my office, and I'm sure you're aware, and it's tied to mental health and teen suicide as well, because that was one of my requests 2 years ago as part of that $25,000, but we just couldn't find anybody to get it done. You know, sometimes, you know, we put calls out there, like call for papers in academic, and citizens are not ready. The organization is not formed, nobody is in a place to step up. But I want to make sure you two are talking, because perhaps there is a leverage that says, okay, she's working on this, you're about to get started on this. Perhaps there's a way that y'all can leverage the work that I know she's working on as far as filming regarding mental health, specifically teen suicide. You also want, not knowing that you had a second part, y'all need to talk, because I think there's a leverage opportunity that perhaps y'all can fulfill the same thing. I just wanted to share that, Madam Chair, and publicly, that you've got a lot of arms, a lot of things out there, some good stuff regarding this, and they just need to work together. I yield. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, Commissioner Carthen. I'm glad I looked to the right.
Can I have the Animal Services Director to please step forward in regards to tab number 14?
Yes.
Thanks. Can you speak a little bit about that? And the reason why I brought you up is just because I don't want to look over when we receive funds from a charitable organization. We want them to know that we appreciate that. Anytime somebody gives something to the county, that helps us to deliver a quality of service of life, whether it be to an animal or to a person.
Yes, the Win3 group contact the Humane Society, and with the Humane Society we work together to get the funding for an x-ray machine. We have approximately 4,000 animals come through our door every year, and most of these animals are not healthy. So this is one more thing we can utilize to help save their lives. If we're doing x-rays in the house and not having to pay somebody to transport them the time, and we can get to them very quickly, almost a triage type situation, assess their needs, and get them placed where they need to be placed. It helps save the county a tremendous amount of money, and we are very grateful to have this opportunity to add this to our program.
Thank you. And I've been to the suite over there, the hospital that you have in the back, so I know this will be a great addition. So I just wanted to say thank you to the Charitable Win Foundation for this donation to the county and to our Animal Services Division. Thank you. And with that, Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Carthen. All right, Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second on the floor. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand for this consent agenda. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. All right, Board of Commissioners, we move on into our announcements. Before I yield to our Communications Director, Rick Martin, just want to acknowledge that we are featured, when I say we, Douglas County and Douglasville is featured in this March edition of Georgia Trend. So I encourage you to take a look at it. We're being touted all over the state of Georgia. Okay, Women's Month. Please, if you would just take note that Women's History Month celebration, the Board of Commissioners will be honoring National Women's History Month on March 31st at the Conference Center in downtown Douglasville, and we encourage all women and men are welcome to come. We will have Judge Peggy Walker as our keynote speaker. We have Lisa Land Cooper, who is our historian here in Douglas County, will be speaking. We have Senator Dunzella James, who will be speaking as well, and we have Ms. Hilarion. She'll be here as well speaking. So they will be actually talking about the great things that women have done historically here in Douglas County. With that being said, I yield to you.
Just one announcement. I think today is National Anthem Day. I think it was adopted in 1931. So y'all think about that and our country that we should be very proud of. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Commissioner Guida, for that comment. I yield to you, Rick Martin.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Commissioners and staff. Connect Douglas is proposing changes to 3 of its 4 bus routes. Information about the proposed changes, pardon me, information about the proposed changes will be available at the meeting scheduled for tomorrow, March 4th, at the Douglas County Transportation Center. Time is from 6 p.m. to 7:30. Connect Douglas is considering the changes after evaluating the first 6 months of service and what needs to be done to make the system more efficient and more accessible to the public. Changes are proposed for Route 10, 30, and 40. For more information about the proposed changes, anyone can contact the Douglas County Transportation Center. On Friday, March 6th, this week, we have 2 groundbreaking events that have been rescheduled due to weather. The first one's at 9 o'clock, the new multipurpose recreation center, and this is happening at the Boundary Waters Aquatic Complex on Highway 92, and that again is happening at 9 o'clock. Then at 10 o'clock, we're having the new Senior Activity Center, which was mentioned earlier this morning, and that's happening at 7217 South Sweetwater Road in Lithia Springs. Parking is available at Cornerstone Baptist Church on Sweetwater Road. We're asking no one with the public to please park and avoid parking at the firehouse, at the fire station. And that is it. I yield back to you, Chairman Jones.
Okay, thank you. Board of Commissioners, any other comments, anything going on in your particular districts that you would like to announce? With that being said, if there's nothing else to come before this body, this meeting is adjourned. Oh, well, if there's nothing else to come before this body, we will go into a recess into our P&Z meeting.